What's up, guys, and welcome back to the No Borders podcast, where today we're going to be doing a preview of the France versus Spain game in the semifinal of the World Cup. Now, Yali, gotta have to give a lot of credit to France in the way that they've been playing thus far because we had this team going out very early, and one of the main reasons was the fact that we saw a team that did not have a balance, particularly in the midfield, and a team that had so many players in the front line that play and occupy the same positions in the field that it was going to be very difficult for Deschamps to find a way to make it work. But credit to him because he has. I don't think anybody could have foreseen that he was going to shift Olise into this 10 and play with both, Kone and Rabiot to give them the best platform to attack going forward. I don't think even he foresaw that his best 11 leading into a semifinal will be the one that he's fielding today. And credit to him for finding that and as quickly as he did to give France kind of maybe even, at least according to the bookies, the favored line going to this particular game. And they've been dispatching of teams with the almost professionalism and ease versus Spain that I think is still trying to find their footing and still trying to find their best 11, but has actually been growing throughout the tournament. So just want to get your thoughts on how the Spanish national team has been looking so far and how you feel about them going into this particular match.
Yeah, I don't think that they looked as good as we all expected.
Yeah.
I do think that they have been growing a little bit, like from the start of the tournament. I think there's there's doubts in that team. There's clearly doubts even when it comes to the 11, and we saw it against Belgium when arguably your second best player gets dropped out of the 11, the, and he absolutely deserved to get dropped. That speaks a lot to it, right? So I don't think when it comes to how they go into the game, it's ideal for them. I really don't
Yeah.
believe that. I feel like they would much rather be going in, feeling better, like with a set team, with a set
Yeah.
playing style. However, I do think going into this game, France is a favorite and they deserve it because they have showed it like throughout the whole tournament. They have just been looking so dominant in every game. And Spain hasn't. But I do think the fact that Spain has been sort of taking care of them in previous competitions. That's what it comes down to pretty much. It's who is gonna be more fearful in that sense. Is it gonna be Spain about the fact that they're looking at France and they look unstoppable?
Mm.
Or is it gonna be France saying, okay, like we're in great form and maybe they're not in great form, but the last two times that we played each other, they absolutely walked us, right? They beat them in
Yeah.
the semifinals of the Euros, and then in the Nations League, Spain literally put five past them. That game was 4-0 at a point, and then 5-1. Then Spain took, like the foot off the gas, and
Yeah.
France got a few goals, but it was an absolute trashing, right? So that's like going into it. That's where I kind of have the question: is like, who's more confident, right? Is it the team that has been dominating, or the team that has been winning like the previous, like the previous matches?
Yeah, Spain has had their number. Spain has had their number, and it's interesting because going into this game, it's just like I really don't know how France is going to approach this. Because it's like, are they going to want to be the protagonists given the fact that how they've been playing and want to impose themselves early? But is that going to kind of play right into Spain's hands? Who I think if you give them time and space on the ball and you give them space to exploit, they're going to pass you off the park. Especially when you look at their midfield versus France's midfield, or is France going to say, hey, you know what, you haven't really been looking very lively in attack. We have two fantastic center backs and two midfield pivots whose job is just to defend and kick the bits out of you. We have four attackers who are incredible in transition, so we're just gonna stay back, defend, and when we get the ball away from you and our guys go on the attack, good luck trying to stop us, But then one can argue that maybe that's the exact kind of game that Spain wants, time and space on the ball, dominating possession, keeping the control. Like, so I kind of want to get your thoughts there. Like, a game where France sits back and just tries to catch them in the transition. Does that play into France's hands? Does that play into Spain's hands? Or does that play into both of their hands? Like, kind of just trying to want to get your tactical analysis there and see how you think each team should approach it.
I think that plays into both teams' hands, honestly. I believe, like you said, it was a great point. Spain has not been creating danger. So if you're fans, you're saying, come on, like come and try to create on me, right? I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna defend. You are not looking dangerous at all. And then I'm gonna get you in the counter with probably the four best guys that any team could put out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's the Spain, so that's the France, like point of view. Then Spain is probably saying, okay, like what I'm the best in the world at is keeping the ball and moving it side to side. So please give me the ball. I'm gonna, like don't pressure me. Like give me time and space, and then I'm gonna be able to sort of like dictate like the tempo. I think it plays into both of their hands, and it's gonna go down to taking their opportunities. I don't think anybody doubts that France is gonna get them a few times on the counter. It's
Mm,
just gonna come down to can they actually turn those few chances that they're gonna get into goals, which I mean most people will probably back them to because of the
yeah,
players that they have. And then the other side is Spain when they have that time and space. Are they gonna have players that are gonna actually pick out the pass and they're gonna shoot and go? Because we've seen it. Like in the last few games, it looks like these guys are playing futsal or whatever, and they just want to walk the ball in. It's like,
they want to
okay,
walk the
you're
ball
not
in.
gonna do that here. You're gonna have to shoot. So that I just think it just like it's interesting because like they say in boxing a lot of time, like like the styles make the fights. I think this
Yeah,
is like the perfect
one
like
hundred
fight in
percent.
that sense because you have the control like midfield team against a team that's gonna just be physical and get you in transition. So it's like who's gonna sort of dominate their own aspect of the game, and I feel like the winner's gonna come from there.
Do you think Spain should do anything different, yeah, either in the way they attack or in the starting 11 to try to take advantage of those moments in possession that they have on the ball against what might be a very low defensive line, assuming that's how Deschamps sets up?
Yeah, I actually think that Spain should actually take Baena out of the 11 and they should bring Pedri in. Pedri's my favorite player, but he got dropped the last game and he 100% he deserved to get dropped. His World Cup has been nothing short of shameful, but he is one of the best players in the world still. And I think going up against this midfield is not sort of like a midfield like for example like Portugal. There's a midfield that we all expect for him to have time and space, and he could really dominate that. I would go and play with Pedri and Rodri and Fabian, and then I'll put almost sort of in that left, like winger, cross left winger type of role, which Baena
Kind of
is
like
playing.
swapping where you got to Sabal a little bit, like
Yeah, yeah, something like that. That's what I would do there because you're gonna have to try to have the ball. You cannot let these guys have the ball because the moment that they get the ball, they're gonna go run right at your goal. So I think Pedri is one of those guys that he's very press resistant. He could hold on to the ball, take care of it. When things get tight, give it to him, and he's gonna make sure that France doesn't have a counter. That's where I will go. I mean, because let's be honest, Javi, if you had Nico Williams, for example, I would say, hey, it doesn't make sense. That guy could do so much for you on offense. But let's be honest, like, what is Baena going to give you on offense? That, for example, is that going to make up for what Pedri could potentially give you holding on to the ball?
no, not at all,
And I
not
don't
at
think
all.
so. And even though Pedri's been in bad form, I feel like this is the type of game where he could get it right.
You have to. No, and you have to play him. I think you have to play him in this kind of game. Something that I was thinking about is I wonder if maybe this is even the kind of game to start someone like Marino up top. Every single time they brought him on, they scored goals. But what I'm looking at is that I don't see anybody that's able to actually, stretch that France back line. And I think that having the likes of Oyarzabal kind of playing in the false nine, I think that works at times when you have like a single pivot. But in a double pivot, it's so easy to mark you there, and it's so easy to put two guys on you. Not to mention that because no one is occupying the center backs, now the center backs can actually step into the midfield and and try to clamp down on you and make it even more difficult for you to break them down. So I wonder if to have someone like Marino just to stretch that back line, create a pocket of space between Rabiot, Kone, and the center backs that you can have midfielders swapping in and out of to create some shots or to have some space and time to pick out a pass. But also just someone who can also give you someone to give France something to think about. Crosses, centers, someone who can back into the actual center back. Maybe bring the likes of an Olmo who might be coming from the inside or Lamine Yamal into the game. I just think they need a different profile of striker because having those two center backs with those two midfield that's right there in the center of the pitch, you could. I think that's just going to be side to side passing nonstop, and then they're going to give Lamine Yamal a lot of work to do on the wings to try to beat the fullback. And if then you say, all right, Cucurella, Porro, go on the overlap and try to create an overload in the wide areas because we just can't find a way through. If they catch you out of possession with two fullbacks on the overlap, and you give those French attackers that much space in behind against Cubarsí and Laporte, who let's be real aren't the quickest guys on the counter, that's where the game could be won and lost for Spain right there. So I do think they need to do something differently. But credit to Deschamps and credit to France because who would have thought that going into this particular game there would be more questions surrounding Spain and what they're going to do as opposed to what France was going to do. We know exactly what France's starting 11 is going to be. We have no idea what starting 11 Spain is going to turn up with tomorrow. And yet, even with that, we both have Spain going through. We expect Spain to have too much technical and tactical kind of ability in this game. They're going to find a way to just edge it over France. 2-1 prediction. Yali thinks it'll be wrapped up in 90 minutes. I think it'll be wrapped up in extra time. We both have Spain going through and into the final. So let us know exactly what you guys think. Um, do you think this is going to be the kind of game where France sets up to defend and hit them on a counter? Is it going to be transition versus control? And if so, which one will come out on top? We'd love to know what you guys think and let us know your predictions below. Thanks.